And let's come to this good land of Australia. In case you Muslims who are immigrants, and even if you immigrated 80 years ago, you're still an immigrant. Now I know you say, no, I'm Australian, I'm naturalized. But let me give you a little history, because I'm a history person. I'm a sociologist. And so I study these things to understand human behavior. I study them to understand the behavior, the development, the evolution of societies. And right outside your door, 50 miles in any given direction from Sydney, 50 miles in any given direction outside of Sydney, you can easily find, maybe not even 50 miles, you will find settlements of native people who are called Aboriginals. Very nice, complicated word, isn't it? Aboriginals. They are the people who own this land, have more right to this land than anyone else, according to the provisions of God. Not the provisions of the United Nations, not the provisions of those who came here, who displaced them systematically and replaced them systematically. Now today, I know the Aboriginals, they are a pitiful people. And we blame them now. We say, they drink grog all day. They shoot drugs all day. They are ignorant. They are dirty. They are lazy. They are shiftless. They don't want to change their condition. The opportunity is there for them like everybody else, but they don't want to change. And so, since they don't want to change, obviously they must deserve their condition. Who they have to blame? Nobody but themselves. We are taught that. Subhanallah. How can some people who have been systematically traumatized, their dignity ripped out of them, they are traumatized. They don't know who they are. They don't know where they are. Just for a moment, Muslims, take the time tonight or tomorrow, you and your children, if you dare and if you care, study what has happened to these people. Study what has happened to them, and you will cry. If you have any feeling inside of you as a Muslim, you will cry. You will hang your head down, and you will say to yourself, do I really deserve to be here in these people's place? The systematic destabilization of the Aborigines, 16 million of them. This was an act of inflicting systematic attacks and assaults upon individuals and places within human populations with the purpose of instilling fear and trauma and criminal occupation. What is the definition of that? Terrorism. We can go on and on. We're only talking about the last 200 years, based upon the definition of Funk and Wagner, Webster's, and Oxford. Their own definitions, not Khalid's definition. We can go to the land of India, where many of you find your roots. We can go to the land of China, not far from us. And between India and China, more than 86 million people have been systematically destabilized, liquefied, murdered, replaced in the same way. Through the act of inflicting systematic attacks and assault upon individuals and places within human populations with the purpose of instilling fear and trauma. And what is that definition? And the Caribbean, and the Pacific Islands, and the Inquisition of Spain and Portugal, the South Sea Islands, and the Far East by the British, by the Americans, the Philippines, Indonesia, Malaysia, by the Spanish. In fact, this definition given by Oxford and Webster and Funkenwagner, the authorities in the English language, this definition, this technique, which is defined as what? Terrorism. This has been the historical choice, the historical methodology, and the preferred way of destabilizing and occupying foreign nations for the last 200 years, and no one ever called it terrorism. The United Nations, that was before called the League of Nations. Did you know that? They never defined any of these actions, any of these barbaric, tragic intrusions, criminal occupations, destabilizations, murder, and protracted crimes on humanity. They never called it what? Terrorism. Now let's go to the issue of, before we go to the issue of the suicide bombers and the freedom fighters who are called fanatics and extremists, let's first add up this, what has happened in the last 200 years. Did anybody keep count with me? Excuse me. How many? 487 million. That's 500 million people. I didn't say in jail. I didn't say oppressed. I said totally destabilized, eliminated, slaughtered, liquefied, or otherwise eradicated over a period of 200 years. Now that crime will be paid for, because Allah